I wanted to speak today about, started speaking about it last week, but there's another dimension to it, another point to go on about it, which is the Rebbe used the term the whole time about Moshiach, Gula Amitis Vashlema, the true and complete redemption. What does it mean, the true and complete redemption? So the Rebbe would always refer to the Mechilta, to other Sfarim, that the Gula of Mitzrayim was not complete. In other words, the Gula of Mitzrayim was not true. Why was it not true? Because Mitzrayim, the Yitzias Mitzrayim, obviously, whatever effect it had an everlasting effect, but the wasn't the part of it that the Jewish people remained independent completely did not last. Afterwards, there was Bavel, Modai, and Yovam with Alamisis. So, emes, the term true, as Chassidus explains, something that is not lasting can't be called true. Even something that right now is powerful and conquers the world and who knows what. Haras and Machaz, yeah, Chassidus brings the raya. You have certain rivers that once in 7 years they dry up. So in halacha, the terminology, the Mishnah uses the term that there are rivers that are lying, that are false. I don't know exactly how you translate it. In other words, something that's not lasting can't be true. So it's not. So the Yitzias Mitzrayim was not a true redemption. The fact was afterwards was another galus. So I spoke about the idea that Yitzias Mitzrayim, even though every single Jew that was at the time of Yitzias Mitzrayim went out of galus, but there were many Jews, the majority of Jews even, a big percent. I mean, huge different opinions in the Medrash. One opinion says 1 out of 5 Jews left, 1 out of 50. I think there's even an opinion 1 out of 500, whatever it is. So the majority of Jews, whoever was there, whoever wanted to go out of Galus went, but whoever didn't want, the Taka didn't stay in Galus in the literal sense of the word, but they passed away during the Makas Choshech, during the Makkah of darkness. But whoever was there left. But by Yitzias Mitzvah, by the Gula Sida, there won't be such a thing, the Rebbe says. Even though maybe there's certain sources that but when Sof Kol Sof, by Yidach Menidach, every Jew will go out of Mitzrayim. And I discussed also what the Rebbe spoke about this Shabbos Pashas Chukas Tavshim Memches. The Rebbe explained the idea of Gula Mitzvah Shleim mean that there's no Jew, there's no point in the world that doesn't go out of Galus. Because if there's even if 99% of the Jews, 99% of the world is redeemed, godliness is revealed, but if there's one part that godliness is not revealed, it can't be called true. It's not all-encompassing. So Gula Mitzvah Shlema means that it's completely true. Complete means that it encompasses every single aspect of existence, every single Jew, and it's eternal. I spoke about this speaker last time. I'm not gonna repeat the whole thing. That was basically the gist. I mentioned right at the end, there's this order from the Rebbe over here. It's in the letter of Chayil Tavshel Hamad Zayin, as it was Michtav Kloli, a general letter written as before Tishrei. And as usual, a lot of times in these small ha'aras, there'll be a few liners where the Rebbe gives a fundamental understanding and different interpretations of something. So the Rebbe explains. The Rebbe says, Gula mitis v'ashlema. So the Rebbe dissects each word, and the Rebbe says the word Gula, redemption, there could be 2 types of Gula. Either a Gula that happens in its time, in a more natural way, or a Gula that comes nachishen, in a hurried, supernatural way. It says, emes, true, in Halach and the Gemara, and particularly Chassidus elaborates a lot, there's 2 levels of truth. I mean, there's really more than 2 levels, but in generally, there's emes and emes lamita. There's something that's true. What he's saying is true, but it's not necessarily the ultimate truth. Emes Lamitai is the truth, it's ultimate. And then in Shleimus, the Rebbe says when it's complete also has 2 levels. Either that it's not missing anything, or that it's 100% complete, which we'll soon see in a second what that means. So the Rebbe says, the next Torah, the Rebbe says, similar, it seems the Rebbe is tying it in, that the 2 periods of Moshiach, the period of Yemois Moshiach and the Chiyas HaMesim. And the Rebbe says, the Rebbe connects it with a fundamental thing the Rebbe spoke about many times, In the laws of tzedakah, you have interesting halacha. The halacha is, the Torah says that you have to give a person whatever he's missing. Esa sheyach saloi. That's the lashon. Yeah. You have to give him whatever he's missing. So the Gemara says, what does it mean, sheyach saloi, whatever he's missing? That even if this person used to be rich and he was able to afford, I don't know, I guess they used to do it, he had 50 people running in front of him. You know, like the Jewish kings, King Lechai used to have someone running in front of Leonov, he ran in front of Achel. So, so he was used to having 50 people running in front of him, and now that he's poor, he's not the great rich person that he had, and he doesn't, but he's missing it. He's used to it. So part of the mitzvah of tzedakah means you have to give it to him. Now, I guess it doesn't mean if there's two people sitting there in front of you, one person probably needs money, you have bread to eat, the other person needs money for chamishim mishratzim in front of that 50 people running in front of him. I assume that halacha would say that you give it to the person the person needs lechem tzara mayim lachas, basic necessities. But nevertheless, the concept of tzedakah extends. Huh? Right, but the concept of tzedakah. Right, I'm saying, I don't know. I think obviously there's a dink dima. Someone. Yeah. No, but I'm saying, but it's still considered tzedakah. This is what this person was used to, then you have to give it to him. But then it says, "V'yata mitzvah la'ashi." You don't have to make him rich. You give him, you fulfill his lack. There's a very strong, very clear line between giving him, fulfilling a lack, or making him rich. Whatever he needs, even if it's his need, because he has a particular something that he's used to. For him, it's a need. For other people, it's completely a luxury. You have to give it to him. But more than that is already considered making him rich. Rebbe spoke about this a number of times, and it's a very I was thinking about it in these two ha'adas. Rebbe gives very strong. You say this of understanding the different periods of Moshiach. But anyway, let's backtrack a second. You have like this. Let's first define what the Geula is. What's Geula? So the simple definition of Geula means there's a galus. When you say redemption, it means a person was first enslaved, or he was going through some type of tzara, now he's redeemed, right? So the word Geula itself means that there's a problem here that you have to redeem the person from. But is that what Geula is? Is that the complete definition of Geula? No. We look in the Torah, for example. We see the Torah that speaks about Moshiach in an open way. I mean, every pasuk in the Torah really hints to Moshiach. Certain psukim more, certain psukim you have to dig more to find. But when the Torah speaks about Moshiach, the two main places is in Parshas Nitzavim, and then in the prophecy of Bilam. Parshas Nitzavim, the whole story of the whole discussion of Moshiach coming is directly coming to fix up the situation of Golus. Right? It says the Yidden will be in Golus, and the Eibusher will gather the Yidden, Shav Hashem L'kach HaShvuzcha V'kibatzcha, we say it every day in Shachris, after the Akedah. These are the psukim that speak about how the Eibusher will return the exiles, which means there's a problem, then it will be fixed. Psukim Taka continue, that life will be even better and greater than it never was before, but the whole idea of Gula is introduced as fixing a problem. We have, on the other hand, in the story of, in the prophecy of Bilam, there's different ways of learning, but most Mefarshim agree in some level, at least a lot of Pirushim, that Bilam is discussing David HaMelech HaMashiach. So Bilam is prophesying about two Jewish kings. One king that will be, both will be mirror images of each other, but Mashiach will, amplify whatever David HaMelech does in a much greater way. Yeah, Zorach Kechav Yaakov come Shevet Miso. I'm not going to go through all the psukim, but basically the king will rise up, he will conquer the world, whatever it is. Now over there, Bilam doesn't mention a word about that he's going to be a galus, that between David HaMelech and Mashiach there will be a downtime, there will be a galus. All Bilam speaks about will be David HaMelech. And then at a later point, life will become even greater, even better. There will be a king that will reach far greater heights than David HaMelech. Similarly, when the Torah speaks about Dari Miklat, right? I mean, the Torah doesn't mention anything about Galus. It just said there will come a time that the Eibusher will expand Eretz Yisrael beyond the borders that Yidden were allowed to conquer, who were able to conquer during up to that point, which alludes to the days of Mashiach. Doesn't say there'll be a Galus. So the Eibusher will expand your borders even more. But the Rebbe explains that I'll give you another example. Chizkiyo HaMelech, right? Eibusher want me Chizkiyo HaMelech Mashiach. There was no Golos at that time. Yidden were still in Eretz Yisrael. I mean, the Aseret Sashratim were attacking Golos. But in other words, it was going to be that he would reach even greater heights than he was before. So, in other words, in Geula in general, there's two aspects. One thing is Geula is fulfilling a lack. In other words, if you put it in simple English in the terminology of the Rambam, is bringing back this that was before, filling up the loop, plugging the holes that were existed before. I mean, that's a very major achievement if you think about it. But in essence, what you're doing is returning it to the way it was before. But then there's a deeper level of Gula. It means you're reaching a totally higher level of existence than ever existed before in the first place. So the word Gula really relates to both. Gula means a redemption, but if it's just going back to the way you were before, that's obviously not the full implication of the word Gula. Gula obviously means that you're reaching a totally new state of life, of existence as well. And in essence, this is really, if you think about it, this is really the difference between the period of Yemei Moshiach and Chiyas HaMeis. I mean, more obviously, there's many explanations here in Chassidus, and there's many dimensions of it, but the Chlolos, particularly according to at least the way the Rebbe explains it in the Rambam, even according to Chassidus, it comes out this way. What does this mean? According to the Rambam, the first period of Yemei Mashiach is what? Nature doesn't change. Why doesn't nature change? Because the focus here, our goal is not to transcend nature. The point is that the world, the way it is, should be brought back to its ultimate completion that it's meant to be as a natural world, with natural laws and things, no supernatural things are introduced. But the world will be a complete world the way it's meant to be. Torah mitzvahs will be complete, will be fulfilled in the most complete way. The second period, which Rambam doesn't really speak about much, the Rebbe explained that the last halacha of the Rambam alludes to it, but that's the second period, which is a change in nature. It means it's a whole different step. You're not just, having the world run in a natural way and its most efficient, best way, but you go to a whole different level. In the Rebbe's lashon over here, the Rebbe's these two halachic definitions of this halachic definition of when it comes to tzedakah, that is day machsoret, is fulfilling a lack and making someone rich. The Rebbe is correlating, it seems, and the word shleimut, when you say that the gula is complete. What means it's complete? Complete means, the Rebbe spoke about this sometimes. The word shleimus, complete, could mean that you have all the details. Everything is complete. But on a deeper level, the term shleimus means you reach true completion, true, I don't know what the right word in English here is, but true shleimus, wholesomeness, whatever. Not just that all the details, everything you have is complete, but you're a level it's a level of wholesomeness that's beyond the details. It's you reach a whole high, like for example, a rich person is not just that he doesn't have an issue paying his bills, he doesn't have a lack of funds to invest. It's not just that he has all the money he needs, he has an abundance. Like the Rambam writes about the second period of Moshiach, all the luxuries are as found as dust. Who's going to need all of that? It's not fulfilling a lack. It's a hashirus. It's an abundance beyond just fulfilling a lack. So according to Chassidus, it comes out the same thing. Really, I was thinking about it today. I mean, it's Chassidus. The Rebbe is mitzayin here to a mimer of the Nayim Beis in this hard over here. It's the letters of Chelik Yadal, mamish, the second to last letter, and then the Sefer, page 476. The Rebbe spoke about this a number of times. It was in the summer of Tafshin Chavtes. The Rebbe spoke about Ashira's, there was a whole Maisa with a car crash, a number of Bochdim, and the Rebbe said then that Nachas Reifa vet in Reich or something, that after such a thing happens, you become rich. The Rebbe spoke. But the Rebbe, you have in Kabbalah and Chassidus, you have the same thing. What does this mean? You have the idea that when the world was created, there was a tzimtzum, there was this concealment of the Eibusher's light, right? The whole creation of the world came about through the fact there was a concealment of the Eibusher's light. As time went on, and forget about, there were other things that happened that caused godly light to become concealed even more. There was the Chet Sadas, there was Golos, right? These are all concealments of godly light. So what does it mean? So there's one level of revealing godliness, which is fulfilling the lack. Because all of these sins happen, because of the Golos, and again, we go back to the first cause of it all, because of the Simsum Marishin, because of this first concealment of the Eibusher's light, there's a lack in the world. So means you're bringing back the godly light the way it was before, which is already a huge achievement, because there's no concealments to, you see godliness. But what in essence what you're doing is you just went back to square one in a certain sense. In other words, there was godly light was concealed, and you brought it back down. So this explains the fact that you have godly light within this world after it's created itself is a chiddush. Beforehand, the world couldn't be. This godly light had to be concealed to create the worlds. The world wouldn't have been able. This godly light was too strong for the world. The fact that you bring back the godly light after the world is there, that itself is a chiddush. Fine. But the etzem, the actual concept of bringing back a lack. So let's say you have, for example, the Maral and Avodas HaKodesh and a number of other places that they explain that even the miracles, they don't go with the Rambam's approach. They explain that even in the first period of Mashiach you have miracles. But what they say in a certain sense, it's not considered a new thing, because they're saying all what's really happening is that the world is returning to its state, the way it was before Chet Eitzadas. In other words, you're fulfilling a lack. Something went wrong, and you're bringing it back to the way it was before. So this is one level of godliness which will be revealed, which, as high as it is, it's a one darka. Chassidus says that the ultimate level of Gula, which is really the way it's mashma from some places connected to the second period, is called Ashiras. It's a godly light that not just you're fulfilling a lack, you're bringing back what was there before, but it's a godly light that never shown before. It's a Chadash. It's Lashon that's used in Chassidus. It's a new light that never existed even before the concealment. So basically, the second really this the Rebbe to my mother in Tafshin Chava, Pater Shalom, Loving Nes Chanukah, Lukat 12. Rebbe the Rebbe is discussing in Maimon Beis. It says that there's even a higher level than Ashiras. Even higher than riches is the idea of chesed, of kindness. The Rebbe said that Ashiras, riches, was already in the days of Shlomo HaMelech. But Mesa Moshiach is even higher. It's even higher than the term riches. Okay, fine. We'll leave that out for the meantime. So going back to the term Gula HaMitis VaShlema. So the Rebbe says like this: the term Shlema, complete, has two meanings. Either that there's no lack, right? Which, if you think about it, that itself is a very big achievement. But there's a deeper dimension here. The fact that there's no lack just means that you have what you need, but not beyond that. The true level of shleimus means completion, means you have everything, not just everything you need to fulfill a lack. It's a higher definition of completion, which is, again, it's more associated with the second period of Yemei Mashiach.
They constantly say this. It's not every angle. Reminded of Caucasian. Whenever it talks about the Yosh and the whole thing is Cheshach. Yosh is Cheshach Sicily. That's not even Eir. That's a whole different thing. It's Atmos itself. This is the Gili. It's a whole different thing. It's going to come. I'll turn back.
But what I'm saying is that the Rebbe gives. It's you say these definitions of how to understand. Even the first dark, even the first level is already Gula. In other words, even the first dark was just there's no chisaron, is already a Gula. It's not the ultimate. And the Rebbe, regarding the word emes, truth. So the Rebbe is mitzayim here to Maimon Samachvav. The Rebbe spoke about many times, but the point that the Maimon Samachvav says is as follows: the only thing that's really true is the Eibishter himself. Why? Because, like we mentioned before, something which exists temporarily, even as powerful as it might be during the time of its existence, but if eventually it will fade away, it can't be called true. Truth is something that doesn't change. So the Rebbe Rashab says the only thing that's really true, emes la'amitoi, truth in its ultimate truth, is the Eibishter himself. That's inside Hashem. That's the only thing that has to be, always existed, will always exist. Yeah. Then what is, if so, emes? What is truth? So truth means the levels of godly light that emanate, whatever the word is, that come from the Eibishter. So they're also true because they're connected to the Eibishter, but you can't call them emes la'amitoi, ultimate truth, because their existence depends on the Eibishter's will. Let's say hypothetically, if the Eibishter will decide that they shouldn't exist, they won't exist anymore. So taka, they exist and they're connected to the Eibishter, so they have to be true. They're true. But you can't call them emes la'amitoi. It's not the Eibishter himself. It's not the truth itself. So the Rebbe Rashab says it's a similar thing. Again, ties in with everything we were saying before. That in the first period of Moshiach will be the level of emes, will be the godly light that is called truth, but it's because it's connected with Eibush, but it's not the revelation of Atzmus itself, Eibush himself. The second period of Mashiach, whatever it is, he ties it in there with the Eidan and the whatever the exact Maimonides Chazal are. That's a level of godliness. That's the essence of Eibush himself. That's called Emes Lamideh. That will shine during the second period. So now this going back a second to the Rambam. The Rebbe has there's a Sikha of the Rebbe, the Hadran and Rambam Tavshin and Aleph. There the Rebbe defines, in the terms of the Rambam, so to say, the difference between the first period and the second period. And he says like this, I hope I'll be able to convey it right. The Rebbe says the accomplishment of the first period of Mashiach is that all the details of Torah and mitzvahs of the Torah and the Torah's effect on the world is complete. The Rebbe uses it, you have a shleimus of prat. Rambam writes that, you'll have the shleimus of Torah mitzvahs, means every single mitzvah, every single part of Torah, not doing the mitzvah itself, and also the fact that the mitzvah is supposed to have in the world will be complete. But there won't be a change in nature, because a change in nature is, so to say, opposite of what you're trying to accomplish. Trying to accomplish that the world will be perfect. The world is governed by the laws of nature. Once you transcend nature, you're out of the world already, so to say. The second period that Rebbe says is a higher level, where the world, the focus is not on correcting the world, making sure every detail of the world is complete. The focus is revealing, the Rebbe uses the notion, the klal shalomayla mipratim, the general rule, the general essence, which is higher than the details, which that is the etzemul of the Eibusha. The focus is not on fulfilling in other words, once all the details are complete, you reach a higher level where you come to recognition, a connection with Eibusha, which is you connected now with what's behind all the details, which is something which is it's the will of the Eibusha itself. It's not here to perfect this aspect of the world to make sure this particular level is complete, that particular level is complete. It's a klal shel mipratim. So the Rebbe says the first period of Mashiach, there won't be any. You won't have something more than necessary, so to say, according at least what's I guess the minimal that's required according to halacha. Because there the goal is that all the details of the world, all the details of Torah mitzvahs are perfect. Why do you need to have Torah mitzvahs is focusing on the world? Why should you have something which is higher than nature? The second period of Mashiach, you're transcending a level. You're going there is revealed that the world it's not about the world anymore. It's about the Ratzon of the Eibusha, which includes and is higher than any particular mitzvah and any particular effect that a particular mitzvah has on the world. So that's why the Rebbe explains, and it ties in with what Chassidus, with what the Rebbe is saying over here. In other words, according to this, Amidas Vashleima is that then will be usually you translate it as the Gula, the true and complete redemption. You think about it based on this definition, is that is the time when the Emes will be revealed and the Shleimus of the world will be in its most complete way.
The same thing.
Huh? But again, there's a lower level of Emes and there's a higher level of Emes. Now, what does this mean in Avodas Hashem? So this sounds very nice, but if you want to apply this to Avodas Hashem, it's very based on these definitions, and you have a number of sikhs that connect. So, for example, there's a maimer of the Rebbe. So the shortest Mugadika maimer, the shortest maimer that the Rebbe said there was Magias, Shira Malis, Makim, Shabbos Shuvah Tavshim and Kat. So the Rebbe says there, the word of the Maimer is, he quotes from the Fidik Rebbe that in Tshuva there's two aspects of Tshuva. What he calls Inyan HaTshuva and Muhus HaTshuva. Loosely I'll translate it as the concept of Tshuva or the essence of Tshuva. So what's the concept of Tshuva? The concept of Tshuva is a person feels he needs to fix up his wrongdoings. So he has a checklist, this needs correction, that needs correction. So he's doing his avoid in a way that everything should be complete. What is Muhus HaTshuva? What is the essence of Tshuva? The essence of Tshuva is a totally different thing. The essence of Tshuva is not about a checklist. The essence of Tshuva means that a person puts himself in a totally higher way. He reveals the essence of his neshama, whatever the terms to be used, which because he reaches that level, automatically every single detail will be complete. Automatically every single detail of his avodah will be the way it's supposed to be. It's not shot that the focus of the Yid's avodah is that he has to do tshuva, he has to correct this avodah, this midah, this way of thinking. But rather, that, in other words, the real essence of tshuva and its essential core, something much deeper and much greater, is that a Yid makes a quantum leap. He puts himself on a totally new level. Al derech zeh avodas Hashem, the Rebbe speaks these terminologies, they machsoirei and ashiras. You can have a Yid that his avodah is what? It's avodah, he does whatever the Eibishter wants. They machsoirei shechseh, what Shulchan Aruch tells him. But then you have a Yid that serves the Eibishter in a way b'chol moedecha, beyond his limitation. This is already the avodah in a certain sense of ashiras, of riches. He's not just doing what he's limited to do. He's going beyond his thing. In some place, actually, the Rebbe corresponds to. The Rebbe says that they machseria sheyechselei, that it just does what he has to do, is avodah of tzaddik, and the avodah of ashiras, of riches, he goes beyond the details, is avodah of about tshuva, or that whatever you want to call it, avodah of mesiras nefesh. So, in other words, the Rebbe, and this fits in also again very well. So the Rebbe speaks about here. The Rebbe spoke in the Shabbos Parshas Achrei, Toshim and Vav, I think it was. The Rebbe spoke here. What is the Torah and avodas Hashem you have from the first period of Mashiach, and what's the Torah of the second period of Mashiach? The Rebbe said the first period of Mashiach is that you do your avodah without being affected by the world around you. Because what's the point of the first period? That people will have peace and tranquility. They'll be able to fulfill Torah mitzvahs without shibud malchus. What's the Torah of the second period of that will be a change of nature? Is that a Yid does his avodah, not only the world doesn't affect him, but he does his avodah in a miraculous way, higher than limitation. One thing is, he does what he has to do, just if someone tries to stop him, a reddish in the spall doesn't get affected. But he's not going beyond his limitations. The second period, which is supernatural, means an avodah of a Yid, a part of his neshama, which is supernatural, going beyond his limitations. So I guess in the avodah of every Yid, we have these two things. We have emes and shleimus. We have a person does his avodah, his goal is to achieve perfection of whatever he has to do. That's one avodah. A higher level of avodah is that he strives to serve the Eibusher beyond the Mailam Nidav Agbola, which I guess ties in really the of emes. Rebbe the Sikh in Parshas Va'eda, put the Sichas Chelik Lamadav. The Rebbe said that emes is there's no change. True redemption means that he does the avodah in a way that nothing could change it. But I mean, if you think about this, these are very fundamental issues that Rebbe uses here, which gives some understanding how to define the difference between the first and second period. But also directly gives Hayran Avodas Hashem, applying Gula in our day-to-day life. What does it mean? There's one aspect. I mean, I think you still need the first aspect. I mean, there's a avodah of jumping to the second level, but there's also an advantage in the first level where you're focusing on the details. So one level is doing your avodah b'shleimus. So the second level is reaching even deeper. So in the seder of Gluim of Yimei Mashiach, it's going to be different from Yimei Mashiach and Tchias HaMesim. And fine. Anyway, Ten L'Chacham Yech Kamoid. Just finish off with one word, not mamish directly related. What I was saying, but there was. I said this Maisa 2 weeks ago. I need to correct it. The chart cover, the David Moshe, the son of the Rizhiner. So after the Seder once, in India, Tapish Chaf out, was going back and forth for a quarter of an hour, and he was saying that even though, the Gula should be postponed because we want every single year to be part of Galus, but he says that we can't wait anymore. So his son, we saw Shortkov said that he understood there was some type of vikuach going on in heaven. And his point was, that like I mentioned last time, the Gula is the Galus is so long because we're waiting for every single year to be ready for Mashiach. But every single no yid should be lost. So he said, but sometimes there's a musig that you can't wait. Let the yidden, whoever needs to be correct will be corrected after Mashiach will come. And the truth is, in a number of places, it seems that's not going to be. It won't be that you'll have to wait. In other words, this is not a time to get into this discussion. Some places it seems the Mashiach is coming after everything is done, right? In other places it seems the Mashiach will sit down with you and start teaching them what to do. Huh? I'm saying, I'm going back. I'm just saying, I was thinking about the beginning of Gula Mitzvah V'Hashleim, that every Yid is redeemed. In other words, in the first level, there's a concept that Achishena means everything is ready. You right away jump to the ultimate. But there's a concept that Mashiach will have to first start dealing with the lower level. Pasha making sure that every single detail of the Avodah is complete. The Rebbe says already holding by Achishena, but I'm saying it's color from I kind of want to elaborate more. And it is Zayim Golom, it is Hashem, take it from Yad Mam.